Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I'm your host, Alecia Jacobson.
What up, all my badasses? Thank you for being here today. I'm hoping the audio is okay. If you are local to the Madison area and surrounding areas, last night we had a ton of storms blow through and I lost a couple trees again. But there are the wood chipper vehicles going around and just chipping all the debris up. So it's a little noisy outside. I have one of my kids home today. So it is not the morning I was planning. And talk about not the morning I was planning. So I had to go to the dentist today because this last weekend, so today's Wednesday, on Sunday, I was watching my daughter. She plays club volleyball and the teams were warming up and I got hit so hard in the face with a ball that I chipped two of my teeth. Like I could feel like it happened and I could feel bits of my teeth moving around in my mouth. And people were looking at me and are you okay? And I don't like that kind of attention at all. So I didn't check it out right away, but I just had a small chip and then my jaw is kind of messed up. So I'm also seeing a chiropractor again today. I've seen every day since Monday. And anyway, so this morning I went in and had my front tooth that was chipped repaired. And there was also a filling there. And I didn't know I was going in to get a filling and get my mouth numbed. I thought I was just going to get my front two teeth shaved down a little bit because they're a little bigger than the rest of the teeth. No big deal. And then all of a sudden I feel the little pinch coming and my face is getting numb. And my plan originally was to come home from the dentist and hop on the podcast and just start talking away. But my face was numb and talking was difficult. So my day is it's not happening at all the way I thought it was going to happen. So, we just have to roll with it. Have to roll with it all the time, I suppose. But that is the kind of Wednesday I'm having is that. But there's more. My daughter is having an 8th grade graduation, things like that at her school. And there's so many mixed emotions around it because she was at one school and that school kind of got taken over. It was a private Catholic school and there was a principal and a priest, that just all this commotion. So we ended up having to switch schools midway through her kind of middle school career. And it's kind of just a waiting period, I feel like, until high school. But there's kind of celebrations and things for that. But then I'm kind of talking with some of my friends and there's also some grieving because what we thought was going to happen and the celebrations we thought we were going to be having are not. It's different. So there's lots of just different, not what was expected energy that is kind of popping up today. So maybe I'll start crying for you today. I'm not feeling emotional, but it definitely just feels like, oh my gosh, what else? What else am I going to be kind of going through the feels on? And I missed my workout today because my unexpected filling was at the same time as my exercise class that I would normally go to. So I didn't get my workout. I didn't get my sleep because I had all the beings in my bed and in my bedroom last night because of the storm and everybody was scared. 2 dogs, 2 children, my husband, just too many things are different today. So we'll see how this podcast goes. I mean, I feel like the content is pretty applicable today. Today, I'm kind of in the thick of it. Generally, they say, don't speak from your fresh wounds, speak from the healed parts. I don't know. I don't remember her name. Somebody said it way better than that. But essentially, you don't want to speak from the part of it. But I'm going to speak from that today. But I've already done this work. This is the work that I teach, so it's not that big of a deal. But I really wanted to come to you from the space that I'm in, and I've kind of been toying around with this all week. But it is the kind of thought spiral that we go through. So what a thought spiral is, what I think it is when when you're driving or in the shower, and next thing you know, you're having a negative experience. And this can also be positive, but what I'm speaking about today is a negative experience that is created in your mind. Now, the situation has actually occurred and happened. However, it's you replaying it in your mind, which then gets your body in that heightened, kind of heated, pissed off state. And then you act on that, not necessarily towards the person. And most often it doesn't happen towards the person involved or the person that you're playing the story over in your head. Most often that's the people that are closest to you, your children, your spouse, your friends, just anybody that it happens to be around you, the people at Target. And those people are on the receiving end of whatever kind of is happening in your mind. And I have had this come up in a couple different spaces this week. And I wanted to kind of share with you because this is what I teach in my women's coaching circle, my group program, and in my one-on-one coaching, because this is a big thing that keeps women stuck and kind of in that. If you're stuck in this space, the spiral space, you're unable to do the things that you actually are excited about and that you want to be doing. This causes so much stress, not only, in your physical body, in your mind, and then in your actual life. And it doesn't have to be, because it really is just a switching of your thoughts. And then you can release the negative impact, the stress impact that it's having on your body. So this week, what happened, I'm not going to go in, you don't need all the details, but I'm just going to give you a nice kind of glossy overview. I got an email from a person, and this email pissed me the fuck off. It was my perception that this person was kind of trying, like a puppet master, and they're trying to like control the situation. That's how I felt. I felt that this person was sort of trying to make me be a puppet and kind of control me. And if you know anything about the Enneagram and the different numbers, I am an Enneagram 8. And one, I think our core fear is being controlled. And that was actually, if you don't know about the Enneagram, look it up, because me learning that was actually probably one of the biggest life-changing things for me personally, because all growing up, I'm this pissed off person. I've talked so many times about how I have to work really hard to be positive because I pull towards negative. That's just the way I am. I think a lot of people have that, but I just feel really comfy and cozy in that negative space. I am a really good complainer, all the things. So I have to work very hard all the time. And if I stop working hard, I slip back into complaining and negativity and things like that. So if you're familiar with the Enneagram 8, the core fear is not being controlled. And when people try to control me, which I kind of grew up in my younger life was more, because I said so, and this is what you're doing. And, no shade to my parents. That is just how they were in parenting. It was sort of like, I'm just telling you what to do and you will follow the rules. Well, insert your Enneagram 8 and your Taurus. Fuck that. And basically that was my motto all growing up. Like, you don't get to tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want anyway. I was very rebellious. You name it, I did it. And if you told me not to do it, I was going to go 10 times harder and absolutely 100% do it. And I don't care if you find out. And that was how I lived. And then I learned about the Enneagram. And when I learned that, the statement was, you don't have to be in control. You just can't be controlled. And that hit me. And as soon as I had that realization that, every time that I perceive that somebody is trying to control me, my first response is, can I take them out at the knees? Like, you will absolutely not control me. And I will burn it down. It like what I don't know what the phrase is, like cut off your nose to spite your face. I don't know whatever that is, that's what I would do. And I have no problem if it negatively impacts me. I will absolutely not, to the detriment of myself, let you control me. And when I realized that, I had this new information, when these kind of instances came up, I'm much better. It was a total night and day difference now, because I know it. I'm like, this is that trigger. This is what happens when you feel that somebody is trying to control you. You do not have to go off on them. You do not have to hurt your own life circumstances in order to prove a point that they can't control you, because they probably don't even care. But for me, inside, it makes me feel, before, it would make me feel so much better to assert myself, that dominance of, you're not going to control me, and I'm going to prove to you that you're not going to control me. And I don't have to do that anymore. So I got this email, back to the email. I get this email and I'm feeling extremely triggered. And I'm creating all these things in my head, those things where you're like, yeah, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this. And I did that. And I did it for probably a good hour. And then I realized what I was doing. And I was like, ooh, girl, put the brakes on, put the brakes on. And I messaged a friend and I said, hey, do you have time for a quick call? We talked for maybe 2 minutes. She very much knows the Enneagram. And she's like, oh, this is hitting on your 8ness. And I'm like, yes. And that's why I'm calling you, because I just need you to help reel me back in. So I reached out to somebody who I knew was not just going to back me up. So that is a big factor in what are you wanting to do? So if you're being triggered into these thought spirals, or kind of you want to take action, but you're like, that might not be a good idea. And who are you going to call? I have a friend that will message me, and because I generally have a 24-hour rule, because I've gotten myself into hot water from reacting and not responding from this heated place of my 8ness. And so I have a 24-hour rule. I have a friend that will message me and give me a scenario, and I'm like, okay, calm down, just take the 24 hours and let's deal with it tomorrow. And I don't know if she always listens to that, but she reaches out to me because she knows I'm not going to say, all right, let's go guns blazing. Like, let's just, yes, do it. And so noticing, who are you, if you are going to reach out to somebody when you're having this sort of like thought spiral, are you looking to commiserate? Are you not looking to exit this spiral? Sometimes that's needed. Sometimes you just want to sit in the shit. And if that's where you are, sit there for a little bit, but then, get out. It's kind of smelly. But then knowing, okay, I need people in my life that I can say, hey, this is happening. And they're going to put on the kind of thinking that you need, where they're going to look at it logically and be able to support you in and out of that, and not necessarily say, all right, I'm arming up. Let's go. Let me help you write this email back. And because that would not have been helpful for me. So that was the first thing that I did, is I noticed, one, that I was even in this pattern, and then I phoned a friend because I really needed that. But how this works, so this is something that I work with people on all the time. It is something that I'm sharing it now because it's something, it's a rinse and repeat. It's not something really like, oh, I've learned this tool, and because I've learned it, I never have to do it again. It's absolutely something that you have to do over and over and over again. It does not go away. But what happens is, you have your trigger, you start thinking in your head and creating stories. It could be stories about the meaning of the situation. It could be the things that you wish you would have said, or the things that you want to say. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that the thoughts that you're thinking are hijacking your mind. You're having a thought spiral. It's hijacking your body, because your body is having absolutely a physical response to the things that you are thinking. And then, like I said before, the people around you feel the impact. You're irritable, you're short-tempered, you're just cranky, or maybe you snap at them. Maybe they're taking the brunt of your frustration because you're not minding your mind. You are letting it thought spiral and tornado away and just take you with it. So when this happens, the first thing, what I did is, it took me an hour and I noticed all of a sudden I was like, oh, hold up. You are not going to spend all your day being pissed off about this. Then I was like, okay, I need to let this go. If we're breaking the process down, the first thing that you need to do is even notice that this is something that happens. We all do this. Especially if this is something that you're like, oh, I didn't even know about this, that you're unaware of. Then what I would offer to you is just take the next 3 or 4 days and pay attention to your thoughts. What are the things you're thinking? You could even journal about this, just keep it in your notes. But where is your mind kind of running away, like a runaway train? Where are you not in control of the things that you're thinking? And then where does it get you in that kind of heightened state where your body is having that negative physical response to the things that you are thinking? Because those are the places where you absolutely, it needs to be kind of adjusted then. You're going to take 3 or 4 days, a week. I usually, when I work with my clients, it's usually for the next, until we meet over the next session, pay attention to the things that you're thinking. And this could be something with a partner. If there's any kind of strife with your partner and you're thinking, you're attributing their actions and you're making meaning to them. This could be with a parent, in-laws, and you're saying, by them doing this is what it means, when really it might not fucking mean that. You're just making that up in your head. And then you're creating all these scenarios which are pissing you off. And so what you do is you go through, a certain time period and you notice, what are all the things that I'm thinking? Where am I not in control of my thoughts? And what are the themes that are popping up? Then you're going to say, okay, I've noticed these thoughts. What am I feeling? What's physically happening to me? I was working with somebody earlier this week, and what physically was happening to her is she felt kind of a tightening in her throat and a very heaviness in her chest, and then sick to her stomach. And that was her physical response. And that is a pretty normal one. You also might have, your heart might start racing, and you just feel kind of just that, like your whole body is tensing up. So really noticing, where is this manifesting for me physically? And then do you notice, how are you being out in the world when this has happened? Are you so distracted that you're not getting your work done? Are you then just numbing out on social media? Or, do you go exercise? Do you, there's different things that then will happen for you to kind of get that negative energy out of you, to self-soothe, things like that. So following the entire progression. And then what we do, so what I spend a lot of time doing is rewiring that, essentially. So what I did when I noticed this come up, because that wasn't the only time, then it kept popping up. And then I had another incident happen that I am still motherfucking pissed off about. And what happens is that it will come up and I will start doing this thinking, and I'm like, oh, stop. And I will like try to imagine in my head that I'm letting it go. There was a time I was driving in the car and I was coming home from my workout, and I had maybe only gone a couple blocks, but I know all of a sudden I was like, oh, you're doing it. And as soon as I noticed I was doing it, I imagined it, the thought, the like anger, the pissed offness flying out the window. It's sort of, I like to describe it as like a toddler and Target. Your toddler's gonna be like, ooh, that's shiny. Ooh, that's shiny. And your job is to keep them with you and safe and kind of keep corralling them back so they're not always running away from you. So your mind is like a toddler and Target, and it's going to go towards that thing because feeling like you're right and feeling, that you have been wronged and kind of going through these scenarios, that's a very familiar, well-worn path. And your job then as the, conscious person who is going to keep your mind from hijacking you is, when you notice it's happening, to corral it back. And you could have a mantra, you could, all sorts of things you can do. I like to actually see the thought float away, but that will keep happening until it is resolved. The next step then would be to, once you kind of realize what your thoughts are, you can change your thoughts. And you can say, one of the questions I offer to people is, what is also true? So this woman who emailed me, what is also true? What is also true is she may very well have used language that I perceived as controlling, and that had not even part of what she was doing. Absolutely. Like, I could have read this through my lens of, people will not control me. And it could have just been some language that maybe triggered me. Maybe I had heard in the past and it kind of, sparked that. And I absolutely could have made this whole thing up and got pissed off. So that could also be true, is that her intention was not at all. And in the other situation, it could have been, the thing that was said that pissed me off, that I am still pissed off about, that she had no intent, that it wasn't meant for me, or her intent in saying this was very neutral in a different way than I perceived it. And if you can take the things that you're thinking, the negative things that you're thinking, and think, okay, what is also true? And did this person mean harm? Do I need to do something? Do I need to take some action here? Not the aggressive kind of action, but what are my choices here? Do I need to vocalize something? Do I need to speak up for myself? Am I just ruminating over this to ruminate over it and not actually doing anything about it? And then work on that physical sensation in your body. And you can do a lot of things with that. You can do deep breathing, box breathing, lots of different breathing exercise to actually kind of calm your body. But it starts with the thoughts that you're thinking. So the more you can control, manipulate your thoughts and take out the thoughts that are sort of inflammatory and not helpful, even if you are right, like I usually am, then you will calm that feeling in your body. And like I said, a mantra could be really helpful here, especially if it's, something that is a reoccurring theme, something that you don't have control over, something where maybe what else is also true is this person is actually a dick or is actually trying to be unkind, whatever it is. You could come up with a mantra to kind of be able to think different thoughts and then have your body feel differently, because when that body feels differently, and then your outside circumstances are absolutely an example of this. I was working with a client many years ago, and she had some difficulties with her mother-in-law. And she came in one day just hot. She was real pissed off because of something that her mother-in-law didn't do. So there was some lack of, and she had created a whole kind of scenario about it. And then, we were approaching the holidays. And so she had then created a whole scenario of the upcoming things that were going to happen. And so she was already like pre-pissed off about the things that didn't happen yet. And so I sent her out and I said, okay, I just want you to notice, when is your mind and thought going on a spiral? When are you getting hijacked? And what are the things that you're thinking? And what is the physical response that happened? So she comes back and we talk about the things that she was thinking and the physical response that was happening. And then we discussed how to use your mind to switch the thoughts that you're thinking. What else is also true? And what are the things that you want to believe and look for? Kind of like that grass is greener where you water it. So if you don't want to be thinking these thoughts and she didn't like how she felt, then what can we insert? Can we make, mother-in-law a neutral, like, well, this is who she is. These are the choices that she is making. And this is what I have to deal with here. So I can either be pissed off about it and let it make me make decisions that maybe I'm not proud of. And, I can act from this space, or I can, okay, this is what I'm dealing with here. And I am not going to allow that to penetrate my mind. I'm not going to allow that to hijack me anymore. And that takes some practice, because it doesn't feel, that is the part, it doesn't feel natural. I don't think we're wired to be like, oh, that's okay. And actually truly mean it. If you're a people pleaser, that you might very well be like that. But then, those seeds of resentment and the kind of ickiness bubble up inside you. But this is a very much a practice. Like I said, I had several incidents. Like, I'm being tested right now and I'm still pissed off. But when it starts to creep in, I notice it, and then it's like, okay, let it go. And I'm letting myself have a little bit of, I'm in the shit a little bit. It's okay. And then I need to get out and take a shower and clean off and have my mind be my mind again, instead of being hijacked by the people who, they don't deserve the space in your head. If you think about it, if these people are doing unkind or unthoughtful, or just, they don't deserve to have those roots in your mind. Okay. They're just taking up space. In that space, you are deserving of that space and the things that bring you joy. And all this is doing is sucking your time, your energy, your thought space. It's making you feel, it's like a weight. That's why when I was sharing the woman I was working with this week, it like felt crushing on her. And we'll go through the next few weeks here and work on undoing that crushing feeling so that she can be free. So that when these repeated triggers happen, she's able to, control it with her thoughts, and then free her body and the response that she has then outwardly from that. So I hope that this was helpful for you today, because this is a big thing that I see all the time. And it's something that, like I said, I personally am dealing with in the mud right now on it. And it is so helpful once you learn this strategy and you are able to implement it, and you're able to see, oh, my mind is doing that and I'm actually feeling really shitty because of it. And then redirect that toddler mind to, no, we're going to come over here. We're going to focus on the things that we find important, that we find joy from, and we are going to not give our energy to that. But it is, again, if you can think about the toddler, they're constantly running. That is they want that. And your brain does that same thing. So over time, you can train it. And over time, you can train it to notice, it took me about an hour until I realized, girl, come on. We are not going to waste your entire day being all pissy here, because that is not a good use of your time. And it is not a good use of your time when you are letting other people take seed and root in your mind. And they don't deserve that there. You deserve to have all of the beautiful things that you actually want planted in your mind, because then your life around you is beautiful and it flourishes, versus being just a weedy, bleh. We don't want that. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I'm going to go and do the rest of my day and hope that it is far less unpredictable. I hope that I have a very predictable and boring rest of my day, and that my week is boring. And if you also had the storm, I hope that you didn't have a bunch of stuff. It was crazy. I was watching it as it was coming from, across different states. And I kind of geek out on storms. I like them. So, but we were all in the basement with my kids and the dogs and the cat, and just corralling everyone is challenging. Anyway, all right, have a fabulous day. And I would love to hear how this works for you. If you experienced it, so you can take a screenshot of the show, tag me in stories or social media, or just send me, you can pop in my DMs. I would love to hear how this show impacted you, or how, if you try it out, come back and let me know how it goes, because this is a really good tool to have in your toolbox. All right, bye.
Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.